Oh my God. I did not expect that here. This is only the second time I've ever seen one of these in Maine. 10 degrees. I thought this day was supposed to be warmer. Bored. Summer birds are gone. Migration is pretty much over. Bored, bored, bored. Let's go find some Canadians. Thank goodness the Canadians have invaded Maine again. This is Maine. It gets cold. This is Canada. Seriously, if you were a bird, would you stay up there all winter? There are 3 places Canadian invaders in Maine gather. One of them is right here. Logging roads. This is what the northern half of Maine looks like, an industrial forest full of mixed species and mixed ages with a crisscrossing network of roads. If you're a Canadian bird up near the subarctic and you're sick of that winter and you're looking for seeds to eat, we got them. We know these birds are Canadian because they're friendly and polite, and they understand French and English. Also, and more importantly, we also know that a lot of these birds don't nest south of the Canadian border. Pine grosbeaks. They nest just above Maine, all the way up to the northern border of Labrador. Common redpolls, they nest further north than that. Crossbills do nest in Maine, both red and white-winged crossbills, but not in the huge numbers we see in winter, so we know a lot of those are coming down from Canada. White-winged crossbills, usually we get more of those than reds, but both can be here in pretty good numbers. White-winged crossbills seem to like the black spruce better. Red crossbills, red spruce, tamarack, a more varied taste. Evening grosbeaks nest in Maine, although their numbers go up and down depending on the availability of their favorite food supply. Spruce budworm. If there's an infestation, their numbers go way up. Right now, it's kind of moderate. Purple finches nest in Maine. In fact, they nest in my backyard. But in some winters, they'll just disappear if the food supply is not that great. In other winters, like this one, a lot of the Canadian birds will invade, which I think they're doing right now. So here's the other reason all these seed-eating birds, all the finches, like logging roads: grit. Bear with me, birds don't have teeth. In order to grind up this seed and digest it, they need to pick up grit for their gizzards, that's where it's ground up and digested. And there's no better place to pick up grit than the sand of a logging road. Sometimes all I have to do is drive along the logging road first thing in the morning, and they're just all out in the road. So that's where they're harvesting. They had logging trucks going by carrying wood, and I just didn't know where they were coming from. Up this road, some of them. And of course, some Canadian predators come down too. Rough-legged hawk, snowy owl, northern shrike, they will come down in winter. Oh my God. I did not expect that here. A golden eagle. Oh, talk about a Canadian invasion. This is only the second time I've ever seen one of these in Maine. A golden eagle. Mostly this is a western bird in North America, but there are a handful that nest up in Atlantic Canada, and they do pass over Maine. I just haven't been all that lucky till now. So here's the thing about golden eagles. They are about the same size as bald eagles, and we have plenty of those around here. In fact, there's one there. But they have a much bigger wing dihedral, a lot like a vulture. When I first saw this eagle, I said, is that a vulture out here in this late in the year? And then it hit me. It's a golden eagle. Oh my word. Well, I'm not bored now. As Canadian invasions go, this one's pretty good. Let's go find some more Canadians. Stop number 2. Blueberry fields. Really big ones. These blueberry fields go on for miles. These are the largest low bush blueberry fields in the world. Somewhere out here there are snow buntings, Canadians from way up north, and I'm gonna find them. See, one place Canadian birds are gonna go is someplace that looks like Canada. So what do we got? We got a huge open area that looks like tundra. If you have fled the subarctic, but that's the way you feed, you're gonna look for an area that looks like the subarctic. This is Cherryfield Foods. If you ever had canned blueberries or ever baked a pie, those blueberries probably grew right here. So absolutely, this is where snow buntings come. They love this kind of habitat. Horned lark. Not expecting that. Blueberries are the second most pollinated crop in America, next to almonds in California. So what are all these cages for? They put the hives inside these cages so the bears don't get them. Blueberries are also very good for you. They're full of antioxidants. And believe me, I'm against oxidants. It looks like tundra. It is wide open. They tell me it's a good place to look for snowy owls. But I've never seen one here. This is my favorite spot of these blueberry barrens because you can clearly see, here, come down here. You can clearly see that this was sand dune 10,000 years ago, and here was the edge of the ocean. Just take a look. So as all the weight of the glacial ice got lifted off the land, it eventually sprung back up, and the ocean is now about 3 miles that way and 250 feet lower. This is an end moraine. See, when glaciers carried all these rocks towards the sea, when it got to the ocean's edge, it just melted and dropped them. Another funny thing about the blueberry fields, in the winter it looks a little like tundra. In the summer it looks like shortgrass prairie. So you get upland sandpipers and vesper sparrows, the kind of birds you might find plentiful out in South Dakota or southern Saskatchewan, but not so much in the east. Here they are. This is what they really love, a bare spot with grasses all around it, so when any seeds blow in and settles in this dirt, they can see it, pick it up easy. All right, we're going to get a little closer, but not very much more. They've been skittish today, and they're not usually like that. Any bird that nests up near the Arctic Circle doesn't know what humans are, and so they don't really consider us a threat, but no, I'm a long way off, and there they go. Oh, maybe he's the reason they're skittish. Northern shrike could take a snow bunting, right? They occupy the same habitat way up north. He probably knows what they taste like. There's a third place where the Canadian birds have really invaded Maine. Let's go there now. The ocean. What's the difference between this ocean and the one way up north? It's not frozen. But that's only part of the story. There's something actually a little weird going on here. Almost all of these birds are saltwater birds in winter, but in summer, they're all freshwater birds. Complete change of habitat season to season. That's not only a big seasonal change in habitat, it's a change in diet. The one big exception is common eider. They nest from Massachusetts all the way up to the Arctic Circle and all across the top of the continent. I mean, look at this map. This is a range map provided by the Cornell Lab of Ornithology. This is just about the best birding resource on the internet, allaboutbirds.org. Anyway, look at this. The only time common eiders get on fresh water is when they're migrating up the lakes and rivers of Maine and Canada to get to Hudson Bay and beyond. Now, look at this. Surf scoters. They nest only on fresh water all across Canada and in places that are too small to have predatory fish. In summer, they're puddle ducks all across northern Canada. But in winter, they come to the ocean all the way down the seaboard. So, anyway, more invaders. I'm hearing white-winged crossbills somewhere. And look at this. Black scoters. They nest almost exclusively in eastern Canada, and maybe some in Alaska, I don't quite remember. But anyway, totally different range, but still on fresh water, and then they just flood down here in big flocks. White-winged scoters. They nest almost exclusively in western Canada, and another population up in Alaska. The Alaskan population goes down the Pacific. All the Canadian birds come over here to the East Coast, cross-continent from their freshwater summer habitat to their saltwater winter. Okay, surfers in the North Atlantic, along the coast of Maine, Acadia National Park in winter. That's just nuts. Scoters. We get a lot of them in winter, and they're all invading from Canada. I think that's a little bit of romantic behavior out there. They're not feeding, they're not diving, they're sort of reacting to each other, watching each other. That's Thunder Hole in Acadia National Park. For the life of me, I don't know why they call it Thunder Hole. Harlequin ducks. There aren't that many in the world. Most are either in eastern Canada or breeding up in Alaska. But when they come south, they come here. That's the weird thing about harlequin ducks. Up north in Canada, they nest on raging whitewater rivers. When they come south, they forage right along the wildest surf on the Maine coast. They get beat up a lot, but that's their superpower. They heal fast. I gotta say, when Canadians invade, it's really powerful. This is the beach, Seal Harbor, Acadia National Park. I like this spot because it's a sheltered cove, and so a lot of the sea ducks will come in here close, and grebes in particular tend to be right out here. But the grebes aren't here in summer. In fact, look where the redneck grebes are in summer. Look where the horn grebes are from, even further west. But in winter, they like the shoreline of Acadia National Park as much as I do. This map makes me chuckle. It shows red-breasted mergansers nesting all over northern Canada, but also a little piece of Maine. Well, we just finished a 5-year breeding bird atlas, and in all that time, we found one family up near the Canadian border. You know, when they sleep like that, head down, bill in the back, how do they know a bald eagle isn't coming? Buffleheads are doing it. In fact, look where they nest. And the weird thing is they're cavity nesters. They rely on nesting in the holes of northern flickers all across this area of Canada. Long-tailed ducks are doing it. Look how far north these guys nest. Oh, this is Sand Beach in Acadia National Park, if I forget to mention. We've got a lot of common loons nesting in Maine, and a lot more nesting up in Canada. And of course, if it's too cold up there, they come down here. So we've got a lot of loons in the ocean right here in winter. And something like 1 out of 10 of these loons is actually a red-throated loon. They nest all across northern Canada, but in small freshwater bodies. Common loons can't walk on land. Their legs are too far back. They're built like torpedoes. But red-throated loons can, so they can nest on much smaller marshy water bodies all across the forest of Canada. And when they come down, they go into the ocean just like the others, and they can spread out all the way down the coast. I was in Hilton Head, South Carolina a few years ago, and man, there were a lot of them right off the beach. These may be my favorite Canadian invaders, purple sandpipers. They nest farther north than any other sandpiper, and when they come south, they love the rock-bound coast of Maine. We get most of the world's entire population right here in winter. I don't know what it is with these guys, but they come from an area with so few predators that they don't seem to fear anything. I've seen them foraging around the feet of bald eagles. I've had eagles fly right over their heads and they didn't flinch. They have walked right up to me without caring. Love purple sandpipers. This Canadian invasion is just getting started. In fact, it's not even officially winter yet. It will be tomorrow, and certainly is by the time you see this. But look, it's going to go on all winter. Don't miss out on the fun.